Tabletopped will start after the following messages.
Hey everyone, it's me, Nick, from the Tabletop Podcast, and today I'm here to tell you about a little Instagram account called Heroes of Evermore. If you're like me and always looking for new actual plays, this is a great one to consider. They do a live-streamed 5e game that is completely homebrewed and in person, so it's actually people around a table playing together. You can feel how much they like each other, and guess what? They do so much to get you involved. They really tear down the fourth wall so the audience feels like they're sitting there with them. Go check it out. It's Heroes of Evermore on Instagram. That's Heroes of Evermore on Instagram. And also, I hear tale that if you go to Amazon.com and type in Heroes of Evermore, you can find a self-published book about part of the campaign. So you should go check that out if that interests you as well. All right, everyone, I hope that you give Heroes of Evermore a chance, and I'll see you in the episode.
Do you know where the legend of Bigfoot comes from? Or why people leave offerings of beans to the Mothman statue? No? Well, I'll certainly tell you on Myth Monsters. We're a mythical monsters and cryptid podcast that goes up every Thursday, and we talk about how these monsters came to be and how they exist within our modern culture and media to this day. So if you're interested in finding out about kelpies, wendigos, unicorns, or Bigfoot himself, tune in to Myth Monsters every Thursday on all streaming platforms, and please, stay spooky.
Welcome back, everyone, to our Monster Menagerie week. Every day this week, we're doing another monster deep dive under the bed. And today, we have back in studio, you know him, you love him, our folklorist master, Greg. Greg, what's up, man?
Not much, buddy. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. And we have one more person joining us across the table. Who is that? Through the mists.
Hi, it's Shade. It's Shade. Oh shit! Is it a full moon tonight, guys?
Ah, yeah, it's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
Excuse me. What? Are you like a werewolf or something? Because we're talking about werewolves today. That'd be super useful. Why don't we start, Greg? You were the one who was like super into this, so I want you to tell us what your deal with werewolves are. What are they? Why you love them? What do you know about them?
Well, namely, I love werewolves because when you think about like the horror classics, the Universal Monster Studios stuff, the werewolf is an oldie but goodie. It's up there with Frankenstein's monster and Dracula. So I've always had like a soft spot in my horrified black heart for these beasties. And honestly, I just have been wanting to talk about what D&D has done with them. And there's some things that D&D has done with them that I'm not like 100% thrilled with, but on the other hand, I feel like in recent editions, they've done some stuff to make them really terrifying, and I'm really excited that they've gone down this path.
Can I ask you a quick question before we get into the D&D side of it all?
Of course.
I want to ask you, is the werewolf vampire like rivalry thing something that is like a more modern adaptation of this, or has it always been like a thing? Because like everything from like Twilight to the 2001 horror classic Hellsing,
or What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, or What We Do in the Shadows. They all are these like kind of like rival creatures that are both like vying for control of territory. So is that something that has like any sort of semblance of basis in myth, or was it just like we have these two monsters, we're going to put them together and fight them?
Well, it's funny you mention that because, bear in mind, armchair historian here, folklorist here, and historian, but it's, I guess the short answer is I think it's more of a modern thing. I really don't think there was really like in mythology or folklore a big werewolf versus vampire thing. If anything, I kind of feel like, and this is just a theory, that they were originally kind of like one monster that eventually kind of split into two different beasts.
Yeah, because I mean, like vampires were like very much shape changers and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Creature of the nights. And
yeah,
things like that,
exactly. And they also control wolves in like
Yeah.
classics retellings of vampire stuff. So like there was always like somewhat maybe aligned, but they just kind of split off into two different things.
Yeah, I mean, like Dracula himself, and I believe in the book, actually often turned into a wolf as much as he turned into a bat. So
That's true.
Yeah, and then I think there's like this, and I have to really do my research here, so I'm sorry to actual folklorists who know better than me, but there's something called like a strigoi or something.
Yeah,
which
so
is
that's from starts off in Greek, which is or Greece. Or Minoan. Anyway, doesn't matter. And
Okay.
You guys are freaking nerds.
yeah.
And it's this whole idea that you need to like make sure that this body doesn't rise out of the grave and become essentially a horrible monster that is equivalent to a vampire in many, modern understandings.
And a lot of times it's like a combination of like a werewolf, a vampire, and a witch in a lot of regards.
If you'd like to see one in kind of modern media, The Witcher does handle those.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm not really gonna recommend reading the book series if I'm being honest. Sorry for those who like it. I just have my own hangups on it. That I don't want to really talk about right now.
We respect women here in the Tabletop
that's
Podcast.
pretty much that's fine. Yeah, I just didn't want to dive too much into it, but yeah, that's the big issues. But it's in one of the books. It's in probably one of the, I think, number 2 of the Witcher video games. So don't bother there. I don't remember it being in the third one, but it's in like episodes.
There's werewolves in.
Well, not werewolves. The Striga.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then there's one of those in like episode 2 of the Netflix series.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it was really rough.
Yeah, no, how they built up to it was really neat. But that's long story short, Nick, essentially, yeah, it really seemed to just kind of, I think these monsters just kind of like eventually drifted into their own separate creatures, especially, as cultures separate from one another and become different cultures and such like that. Their monsters follow them, and sometimes they follow them in different forms.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that's how we, I think, got a split between the vampire and the werewolf. Yeah.
All right, so now that we've gotten my curiosity out of the way, why don't we talk a little bit about the use of these monsters in tabletop, TTRPGs, the thing that we talk about. So you said that like D&D has kind of gone through like a up and down sort of relationship with werewolves, in your opinion.
Yeah.
Can you talk about like the low points and then where they are now and like the high points that you really like?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like anything like terrible that D&D has done. It's just, I feel the vampire's gotten a little bit more love than the werewolf has.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Strahd, it's kind of hard to to ignore him.
When you have like Strahd, who's like one of the big bads of the D&D setting. I mean, he's up there with like Vecna and Asmodeus practically, in that he's just a recognizable name. And then I can't really think of a werewolf like villain that comes to mind.
Which is really wasted potential. Like, why don't they have a werewolf module like, Curse of Strahd that's just, maybe they do in the Domains of Dread that maybe we just don't know about, but
That's
I feel
true.
like that would be such a cool one because you could have like a whole thing where you're like stuck in a town or whatever and it's like turning into werewolves.
I mean, that's one of the things to do. I mean, I feel like the thing about it is with the werewolf and where it's really terrifying when it comes to like folklore and horror stories and things like that, is that it's this unstoppable monster that if it needs, you need a very specified thing to hurt it, and if you don't have it, you're in trouble, and if it bites you, you become one. And
well, if it doesn't just kill you.
if it doesn't, that's assuming if it doesn't just eat you. But in, terrifying in a modern day setting, but when you are full of swords and sorceries and the werewolf bites you in this one, it's kind of like, well, I got this nasty rash right here. I guess I better just go to the doctor or the cleric. And it's like, Yeah, man. Well, let's do a remove curse. Just call me in the morning. So bad for low-level characters, but once you're getting up to like level 10 or something like that, it's not really a concern. They're really just kind of like an elevated. They're like an elite bandit
Yeah.
or starter villain or what have you. If they're in a pack, which I think is which actually would be kind of cool because werewolves, they hunt in packs. That's where you might get in a little trouble. But individually, Bill Stabums is gonna wreck a werewolf's day.
Yeah.
Bill is gonna wreck most people's days. But
My level 20 rogue, yes, he is quite good at killing. But so Shade, in that campaign with Bill Stabums, you actually became a werewolf for most of the game.
Thanks for that, Nick.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, were things, because it's not limited to werewolves. It's like there are were-jackals, there are were-bears, there are were-sharks.
Oh yeah.
There isn't a official 5e stat block for it, but
Okay.
yeah.
So there's like lots of different were-beasts you can use, and they do have that sort of in their stat block. It's like a curse that if you roll like under a certain, like basically I think it's like a DC 12, and if you roll a lower than a 12 Constitution, you get werewolfism.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. DC 12 for a basic werewolf.
That day is burned into my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that presents, something I find to be a failing of 5e is they don't really give you enough as a player guidelines on how do I be werewolf now. I think the idea for that, because that particular, like the werewolf stat block is chaotic evil. So the idea is now, and you've surrendered your character sheet to the DM now. It's this old antiquated.
It's not very fun.
No, it sucks. It's an old antiquated idea of like, meat grinding your characters. I don't want to fucking do that. I'm invested in this character. Let me cure the being a werewolf. As you said though, Greg, I agree. Remove curse, really easy to get access on that, especially if you have a group of spellcasters, which is pretty much guaranteed in 5e. So
it's a bad case of acne essentially for mid-level adventurers.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Said acne will eat you,
but I think 5e could have benefited from giving you a little more guidance for when you do contract lycanthropy.
I think that a way you could do it is just be like, in your game, you could say like, you don't know what this creature is. It looks like a dire wolf. Like it's different than the wolves you've seen before. It's very strange. Sometimes you see it walking on two legs or whatever. Sure. And so then like maybe your player's like, oh, it's a werewolf. But like in game, you could get bitten and then you're like, roll the thing, you fail, and you're like, that the wound festers,
Yeah.
That's a fair. That is very fair. I mean,
so you just like can play it like you just don't know what it is.
Yeah, the gap between
one good episode of the turn in the party's camp.
The gap between player and character knowledge, perhaps, and you as a DM could also be like, remove curse doesn't work on this, and that'll immediately set a. I could. Daniel loves doing. Biology-based ideas in his campaign.
Germs, not
curse.
Exactly.
So you need cure disease or lesser restoration or something like that. I can see that, but that would absolutely send a panic to me.
It's like, how are we gonna get that fucking scroll?
But as a player, I actually, because we did have access to it pretty quickly, not long after. Honestly, though, it did take a while.
You were there. You had it for like 6 months.
But it got to a point where we eventually had access to it, and I was like, yeah, but also this is somehow part of his character, and I'm kind of gonna hold on to that. And then
you like tamed it with your monk.
So like there's chances for character development with it too.
I like what you did with yours.
I enjoyed it.
I figured your time in the Feywild is kind of what made you become friends with the beast. You know?
We got rid of it, and then because we were doing rotating DMs at that point, I was like, my character is squirreled away to the Fae for a while, and I had the Fae bring it back. And I actually had we also were stuck in a walled city like during a siege, more or less, so I had a werewolf thing happening there.
Yeah, we had to like tie you up in chains and throw you in a basement.
That was fun. But it's not just the basic werewolf
No.
anymore, because it was Van Richten's guide
Not
to
your grandma's
Ravenloft
werewolf.
that
Yeah.
brought up the Loup-garous.
Yeah. I'm excited.
All right,
Please,
hit us
Greg,
with it.
take it away.
I actually do not know what this thing is at all. I haven't read this stat block. I don't know what this creature is in folklore. Hit me with it.
Okay, so I'm going to, I can't pronounce it, so I'm just going to,
Loup-garous.
Loup-garous. Okay, so, or as I like to call it, the Uber werewolf. So
You call it on your phone, it comes to you. You better keep your rating above 4.8 stars or it's going to eat you.
yeah, well, shoot, yeah. Hopefully that, God,
That was a super duper joke.
Honestly,
words fail me.
I zoned out during that joke, and then my mind told me what you said after. And
Honestly,
I couldn't even have a response.
now that we are here in the future looking back, I really should have made an Uber Eats joke, but I couldn't quite get to it. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I mean, my mind was like, no, man, you needed to listen to that joke, and I laughed when I played it back in my head.
Yeah. Oh God,
Now
the pity I'm feeling.
Now we just have to live with it. We've crossed that bridge. So
Put in the comments whether you thought that joke was okay or not okay.
I'll fucking comment. It was good.
I'm going to remain
It
neutral.
would
on
have
this.
been better if it was Uber Eats, but it was still good.
Okay, we're all on the same page. Still, go to the comments. There's going to be an interact button, I promise. Yes or no. Okay, Greg, I'm sorry. The Uber werewolf.
So what happens is that this creature is, well, in comparison, it's a challenge rating of 13. So
already scarier.
Yeah, you're not going to. You don't want to throw this at low-level adventures, or you can because
Kill them. Kill your
Yes.
player characters.
Yes. To be the good DM to the bad DM. But the thing about this creature is that when you look at its stats, it is not. It's not just like your common bandit. This thing is like an engine of destruction. It's not. You don't put chains on this thing when the full moon rises. You find out who it is, and you just get the hell out of Dodge because this thing is just going to waylace to. Woo, cannot say words. It's going to destroy a village. Don't know why I can't say that. I'm just that scared. So the thing is that it goes into a blood frenzy. It has advantages on attack rolls, legendary resistance. So that's always.
So already it's just gonna, it's gonna survive a couple rounds, whereas the werewolf might not.
No, and then it can regenerate, which is great. But the big thing about it, and this is the really nasty thing about this creature, is what happens if you get bit and survive? Because a remove curse is not going to do it. Yeah. You have to, there's two things you have to do. You have to do a remove curse on the night of the full moon when your buddy is going into full-fledged, like, werewolf mode, and you have to roll like a saving throw, and if you fail, then your friends are slavering werewolf and is coming for you. And two, even before you do that, you have to find out who originally bit him or her and kill them. That's the only way you can do it. So
there can only be one.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of going into what is it? American Werewolf in London territory.
Yeah.
Where
I remember seeing that when I was 5.
Yeah.
No, I'm not joking.
No, I know you're not joking. I saw that last year when I was.
Oh, that was the first time you saw it?
Yeah, okay. No, it was. I kind of missed it, but I'm like, wow, I am glad I watched it now in my late 30s when I'm not going to have developmental issues.
Better time to watch it. I agree.
Yeah. So,
is it good? I haven't seen it.
It's actually really good.
You know what? It's okay.
Contradict me, why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna say
5-year-old Shade's like, it's okay.
No. And, here's our American Werewolf in London movie review corner for a split second.
All right, let's play the theme song for the movie corner.
Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie.
So Jackie and I watched it probably after you, because I remember you telling us that you were watching it, and so I think we were like, oh yeah, Jackie, you should watch that, because we always around Halloween try and catch her up on a bunch of movies she's never seen, and there is so much more camp than I recall.
That's what's great about it.
Yeah, it is. but it's also, I don't know. It's just
Has it aged well and I forgot something about
no.
it?
It's fine. It's fine. I think also something that takes me out is and I cannot remember the actress's name or the character she plays, but the love interest, the nurse, for the main character, the werewolf, is
Spoilers.
yeah. She also plays Mother Superior on Better Call the Midwife.
That's funny.
Which was something I realized halfway through. I think the sex scene, and I was like, "Oh, this is weird now in my mind. Weirder than that moment already is."
There's a lot of factors coming into
Yeah.
play here that I don't know are necessarily fair to the movie, but
No, you're right. I'm judging it.
I guess what I'm saying is what I like about the movie is that the transformation scene and the special.
Terrifying.
Yes, it is terrifying. It is painful to watch. It looks painful to be enduring, and it's just you can see why. Just going through like the scream and the transformation and the body horror, where it's like, wow, if I went through that, I'd probably look at the first living thing I saw and try to kill it, because it is just.
We have different opinions.
And
I look in the mirror and try and kill myself.
And that is the movie corner.
Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie.
All right, back to it. Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, well, I guess honestly what I'm saying is that this werewolf has a little bit more, and forgive the pun, bite, because it's just you can't just wish it away. You have to like solve an issue. You have to actually kind of, if you're doing a campaign, if you really care about this, you're like one of your characters or one of your colleagues, maybe you don't, you're going to try to like put everything on hold and try to fix this, because the next time the full moon comes around,
it's just the once, and then if you miss that window, it's a monster forever.
No, you can try again,
Okay.
but it happens. But it happens every month. It's only like you get an opportunity once every month, and if they
And
if
it's
they
very
fail,
hard to fail and also then survive to the next month.
Exactly, because this thing. Oh yeah, and I also forgot. It cannot be charmed. It cannot be frightened. It is a creature that just is out for blood, and it just wants to wreck your day.
Yeah, I mean, and you as a DM can really, like you said, create a quest for this, because if that Loup-garous bites, infects, and then runs away, you got to hunt that fucker down first. Like,
Yeah.
that's a whole arc.
Yeah.
But also, what a fun way, because like when you turn into a normal werewolf, it is like literally a CR like 3 creature or whatever. What if you're like a CR, like you guys are like level 6 or something? You get one of your people get bitten or whatever, and then you're like, we have to get in, like we have to kill this prisoner guard or whatever. You like do some sort of thing, and you just like get the person who's bitten inside the prison during the night of the full moon, and then you just get to take control of this monster and just ravage this prison.
And that's actually something that because we're bringing this up, the shape change can happen for both werewolf and Loup-garous anytime. It's more of a Hulk situation, which is something that I don't like. I understand why, but having the ability to turn the switch on and off, I don't like that as much.
So, well, with this one though, it is during the full moon, right? It is
For the remove curse, it is, but for the shape change,
Oh, really?
like I think the full moon guarantees it. But the shape change is still
Is
it's
it
like a
every
bonus
night
action.
you have to? Oh, it's you could choose.
Oh, I thought you had no choice. I thought it was like typical werewolf rules.
I mean, well, again, with the full moon, when the full moon happens, I think the idea is that it's like, okay, you're a werewolf right now. You've got no choice.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you can still change back and forth, at least by the basic stat blocks in 5e. And that's one of the things that that we didn't really talk about with 5e lycanthropy of any kind. I have and I think it was like this in older editions too, but I'll be honest, I don't remember. I've always kind of felt like a love-hate towards that. And again, it comes back to they need to give players rules on this, because that's what made, when my character became a werewolf, it kind of like, well, but I can turn it on and off, and it's not like we're really keeping track of the days. We had like 1 or 2 episodes where it's like, oh, it's a full moon, oh no. And that was it. Otherwise, it was just like, yeah, we have established that obviously I go get chained up somewhere during the full moons.
I do like the idea that you give the player a set of rules based on your campaign where it's like, I mean, a lot of different like board games do this where if you're playing like a specific faction or whatever, that you have sort of like a script you have to follow.
Yeah.
And it's like if A happens, then B happens. And if B happens, then C happens. And if C doesn't exist, then you don't go to D or something like that. Like, I think you could say like, okay, this change happens. When the change happens, you have to like, is there anybody around? Yes, no. Yes, you fight, try to eat it, kill it, or whatever. And like, or maybe you do like a hunger gauge where it's like you have to fight or like kill 3 things that would fill your hunger before you can choose to leave and go somewhere into the wilderness or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you could give a set of rules to your player and say, these are the rules of being a werewolf, no min-maxing.
Yeah, it's I think with this one though, with the Loup-garous, I don't you could not play this as a
no, I don't think you should.
Yeah. I think once you turn, you do like you hand the sheet over, maybe temporarily to, the DM, because it's like you are a monster now. You are on a rampage. Your friends got to find a way to like survive the night, and if they like you, not kill you, assuming they can, because
I do also like. I mean, like I'm all for turning the sheet over in certain situations. I do like if you're at a table where you're like you have a player that is into it, I think they would relish the chance to be like, all right, motherfuckers, I'm coming. I'm about to eat all of you.
Yeah.
See,
remember how you took that sword I wanted?
Yeah,
I mean, but you got to have the right table, the right people.
Roll meat on these.
Yeah.
I can't help but think that there's a few people in our D&D group, and I won't name names, who might be a little excited about this opportunity.
I would be so into it.
Yes,
I feel like this is so great.
I would, and I run a fucking battle royale for you all every year. So.
What happens? So if you fight this Loup-garous,
Yeah.
and while it's transformed and you kill it,
Mhm.
if it's your friend, is it like druid rules, like it goes back into a person, or does it die as a wolf and it's dead forever?
I don't know. That is a good question. Shade? You have the sheet up.
To my knowledge, when they die, they go back to their original form.
So it's like just a really fucking hard night for everybody.
Yeah.
I think on the plus side with this bad boy, it's doing so much damage to so many people, one would assume that it's like, oh, yeah, he's a werewolf. Now he's back to normal. So maybe that would be the case. But on the other hand, there's always the issue of, oh, the authorities just think that I stabbed an innocent man.
Yeah.
So
Where did this blood on my mouth and hands come from? Do you have to kill it with specific items like a silver whatever? Or?
Is a fun thing that I don't like about this stat block.
What?
It doesn't have any resistances or immunities.
Oh.
No.
So the
That
basic
sucks.
yeah,
we gotta
Because
change that.
vampire, it's like you have to kill it, and then you
Well-
have to stake it, and then you have to bring it to its like coffin or whatever.
Yeah, I should weapon or attack damage immunity. Damage is the word I wanted. Immunities. It has condition immunities, charmed and frightened. But the basic werewolf has the damage immunities, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks that aren't silvered. And if you want to, in my opinion, heighten that werewolf a little bit, get rid of the word non-magical. Just weapons that aren't silvered, period, is a much stronger, like, oh, this is terrifying. Because who has a fucking silver magic sword or silver sword?
And that's what's great about it, because not only because when you add that to it can't be charmed or frightened, it's like, all right, soothe the savage beast. Ain't gonna work. It is just mad. And you are in its line of vision, and it is coming for you.
Absolutely.
I also like the idea that you give it a kill condition, like a monster of the week monster or a vampire, where it's like maybe you can fight it, has resistances, and like you said, silver maybe does full damage or something, and then when it turns back into a human, if you're gonna try to kill it, then it is, you gotta silver stake or a silver bullet or something, something that's like thematically well, or wolf's bane or whatever it is, like a wolf's bane potion that you like feed it so that it kills them or whatever. Oh, Shade's looking very confused.
No,
man?
I just had a series of ideas for something.
Oh,
that
God,
I'm gonna
help
run
us.
later.
Jump out the window.
God, this fits perfectly with something. Anyway, Great idea, Nick.
Thanks. I'm full of them.
But I will say with the Loup-garous, it does have a silver situation going on, so it regains hit points.
Yes.
But it's got kind of it's more like a troll, where a troll can regain hit points as long as it hasn't been hit by fire.
Mm-hmm.
The Loup-garous cannot regain hit points if it has been hit by silver. That's specifically where that comes in. But I still call bullshit. It should have complete immunity to any non-silvered weapons.
I think you just throw like a resistance on them and then say like, okay, so this thing has resistances to all form of damage other than like silver. And if you use silver, it can't regain hit points. You know what I mean?
That's also good.
Because if you're doing half damage, it's probably going to heal more than you've dealt damage for. So it could like, start ticking back. Yeah. Giving that feeling of like invincibility, like barbarian style is very fun.
Yeah.
Like
For
rage,
sure.
whatever.
And I do get from kind of maybe a design standpoint why they didn't even bother to put that in there, other than, maybe it was a mistake. Because by the time you're fighting this, of course you have magical weapons. Of course like they just were like,
Says you.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I'm throwing this at level 4 people, baby.
Hell yes. Remember a second ago when you were like, good DM,
you have
evil DM?
You have converted me. This is too much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Scare them.
All right, so we've kind of talked a little bit about the monster itself, its stats, how we would use it a little bit, but I guess we haven't really talked about how specifically to use it. I would love to throw this into make it, again, a great Halloween one-shot if you want it. I think it's also really great to put it in like well-populated settings, like a town or a city could be very fun. Yeah. You could have like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. Like I would love the idea of like the blacksmith that you go for all the silvered weapons is actually the werewolf, and is just sort of like isn't aware that it is when it changes. You know what I mean? Like he could do that sort of thing.
So he's a werewolf, but not a werewolf.
He's not a werewolf. Yeah. All right, I'm wrapping this up. Any last thoughts on how you'd use it? Any other thoughts about the werewolf in general before we shut this down?
There is one final thing with the werewolf that I wanted to mention, and that is the idea that as terrifying as the werewolf is, if you're using it as like as a monster that has no control over its actions, it's also in many respects a victim. So the thing that I think
morality,
yeah,
morality is for the strong. Something that I've started saying recently.
Fair enough. It's so
inside baseball, guys.
That is going to make 3 people not even laugh. They're just going to shake their head slowly.
Yep. We're assuming Daniel will even remember. Sorry, buddy.
Oh God.
You think he listens to these? No way.
So it's one of those things that, if you find out that this person isn't some evil creep who gets kicks out of it, and just like the innocent blacksmith, maybe you really like the blacksmith, maybe you realize it's not his fault. Do you kill him, or do you go hunting down the person who did that to him? And if you find that person, what if they're not a complete scumbag? This is where things get like, it's complicated.
Do you have to It Follows it, where it's like, so you have to keep, if more than one person has like gotten bit, you have to keep going back to different werewolves to try to stop.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah. That's not how it's written. Okay, that is an interesting idea.
Because that's like a whole campaign of like, you start with someone getting bitten that they know or whatever, and then they have to like fight their way through werewolves.
From what I gather, if you killed the person, if you killed like the individual who bit this individual. Yeah. Said individual has the potential now to be cured.
Gotcha.
So that is that's where the step is there. I mean, if you don't want to make it too complicated, and you just have, if you want the blacksmith's like werewolf, the guy who turned him to be like, yeah, I'm evil. I like biting people and turning them there. Then that's fine too.
Honestly, this could be like a very fun like custom warlock class of like Pact of the Beast, and you like become one of these things. I like
that.
Like in like
holy crap!
Yeah, and at like a certain level, you get to do a transformation druid style as your pact. Could be very fun.
Oops, all warlocks indeed.
I might go write that subclass.
Yeah.
That could be very fun, right?
I might go write that
A
subclass.
CR12 is about a level 15 or something, like on its own.
I don't know.
Because that's probably one of the final things you could get is like turning into this huge like wolf monster
Yeah.
with legendary resistances.
Honestly,
and stuff.
no, I forget where the warlock level subclass progression parts are
Yeah.
in 5e, but I would put that in like mid tier, like you said,
Yeah.
level 12, level 15.
I mean, that'd be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Imagine getting that as your level up and being like, I'm about to go nuts on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, and I mean, because oh god, your Eldritch Invocation slots you could use for your transformations.
Yeah. And it could be a cool thing that's like you need like a certain amount to transform in and then transform out. And so you can get stuck in the thing and like it could be fun.
Every time we get together and talk, I feel like I walk away with a project.
That's me, the Taskmaster. All right. Any final thoughts on Werewolf or the Uber Werewolf?
No, I think that covers it for me. We've covered all the ground I wanted to do, which is awesome.
All right. I've thought of it. The founder of Uber Eats was a werewolf.
Nah.
No.
No. Sorry, man. That doesn't.
You tried.
Yeah.
You fought the good fight.
No, I didn't try. I failed. All right, everyone. This was another episode of Under the Bed. We're going to do this all week long. It's the Monster Menagerie week. Stay tuned for tomorrow's new spooky monster. See you, everyone. Bye.